looking very colorful on the side of Young and Beautiful. We
Honestly,
will
Young and Beautiful, great name and logo too there too.
It really is, really is.
No,
we'll
but
yeah,
Mecha Base. When you come down to it, both these teams, Slur has been like Zenyatta has been his hero. It's not Slur playing Zen, it's Zen playing the other. It's the other way around. It's been absolutely insane what the man can do with right click. So SMC, Young and Beautiful, Mecha Base. It all starts here, and these teams, which one is going to drop to 3-1, and which one's going to take the 4-0 after today?
Poke happening, of course, most notably, as it usually happens that way. Looks like Young and Beautiful, they want to try to posture on the opposite high ground with a maybe more favorable spot to not only throw out some projectiles, but also just drop immediately down onto point once it unlocks in the next 3 seconds. But SMC will dive down and under and look at people through the glass and works, and now it just comes down to Cappy. He's 0 charge. That needs to change. And of course, immediately, so he puts up to 40. You take a look at, well, we also have a May on the table from Poly trying to be a distraction as much as possible, but takes a lot of damage. And again, no eliminations yet. Oh, great headshots from Poly. Oh my goodness, now the Ice Wall also there to help delay some of the incoming damage, but still no elimination. So when will it happen first? Will it be on ultimates? Honey already has himself a Transcendence for Young and Beautiful if needed. And oh my goodness, JK Low already dropping away. Cappy, you talk about his pressure on the Zarya. Full charge, the damage is there, and Young and Beautiful, they'll clean up this first fight and take early control of the capture point.
I think the most impressive thing for me there, though, is that though Young and Beautiful actually take that one off the better pressure, look how much respect both these teams are giving to each other, right? Poly, plays the right clicks, plays the May, but even when he sees that moment of damage coming through, instantly ice block, instantly wall. He knows how much pressure Young and Beautiful can provide, and the reverse is true as well. Now this next fight, it didn't really seem like it went on for that long, but all these players have ultimates online here. It's going to be a 6v6 ult fight.
It was a good ice wall, but not able to follow up and immediately locked into place. JK Low, the Transcendence is there, but immediately pushed out. What a great charge that was from Krondop. And now all of a sudden, can you turn this one aside? There's no shield here, so Krondop, if he needs to, can hit the Earth Shatter. But oh, what a good soft reset from Shoes Buddy Crew, trying to escape with as many lives as possible. But again, just really good clinical play from YAB, able to find the charge and getting JK Low out of the fight early. That's going to be pivotal in the future.
Yeah, gets a good read there, and they pull 2 ultimates out of Shoes Money Crew. Rally and Transcendence were both committed, so now Shoes Money Crew, they're going to walk back in. They need to find a way to get this combo off. The Graviton Surge and the May ultimate here. That's going to have to be their win condition, but Yab has the ability to layer support ultimates to try and nullify it.
And don't forget about Donnie, who is so good at eating up those grabs if misused. Earth Shatter was used first from Krondop, didn't find as much as he wanted. Transcendence as well, now the Blizzard comes into play. Will there be enough damage involved? No one's even in the circle whatsoever. The Graviton Surge is used onto just Young Savage. That doesn't seem like full value. They do drop him, but the sound barrier didn't actually get off either, so full value actually as we see it now. Oh my goodness, JK Low. How about coming back to the side and finding himself a good shatter? That'll be enough for 2 more, but again, the frontliners are still here for YAB, contesting for as long as possible. You'd love to see that percentage get as high as you possibly can make it go. It looks like that will stall at 88% before SMC can flip.
A good read from Shoes Money Crew. They see what advantage they have, and they actually commit to that fight. It's expensive, but at least they end with the point in their favor, and now they actually have the tools to hold for a while. Slur has the Transcendence online, and Young and Beautiful, though they are building that ultimates, all they've got right now is the Graviton Surge. Shoes Money Crew, they can contest this one out, and now, off the back of Poly's wall, they're going to try and section off and prevent a good fight from happening.
Great wall, but of course, Coffee, he's got Graviton Surge. You'll see that pretty often if the storyline stays true, but Hootie does fall first. Oh my goodness, the shatter was good from Krondop from the backline. Is there enough damage to follow up? The answer seems to be yes, as Young Savage will help boost them into the fight. And Coffee, full charge. He says, bring it on, May. I'll take that every day of the week. I don't even care if you freeze me. I'll be able to come back to this one, no problem. And YAB, they'll flip this point immediately, and all of a sudden, SMC, if they get staggered here, this could be really bad for the recontest.
The 95%, can they even make it? They're going to trust the Lucio perhaps to try and touch. It's going to be close. Gustav, he got booped away.
Wow,
he got booped away.
Boost. What a boost. Are you kidding me, LaFon?
Oh,
Donnie
my goodness.
Through the air the entire way and says, come on in, buddy. We're going for a ride. And he couldn't get down. Oh, my goodness. What a play.
And Young and Beautiful prove that they are here to play. That is... At the beginning of trials, we had a meeting. We're like, okay, who's our top teams? Who are we looking at as being our contenders, right? Who are the good teams? Shoes Money Crew, of course, were up there. But at the very start, I said, Young and Beautiful. They've got players that look very strong in this patch. Cappy's like, dude, you can't talk about how strong this player is without mentioning him over and over again. His Zarya is insane. It's absolutely massive, and Young and Beautiful, they just good teamwork throughout, and they're able to hold that one off for the meantime.
And now downtown, Young and Beautiful will come out with goats. They'll see that there is a pharmacy in the air, and Mao's looking at them through a scope, and they'll say, maybe we should reconsider. And again, here you see Huni will switch over to the Moira, and Krondop, of course, appropriately so. Oh my goodness, the mind games right now, Lafon, please.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Gracious.
Oh, it's okay. So we're paused, but you know that's you can see right there what happened there. Choose Money Crew walks out. Young Beautiful reads it. They're like, okay, we're going back to spawn. They switch. They press tab. They hold it. They realize that Choose Money Crew is doing the same thing. They're gonna play. They're playing rock paper scissors, but like without actually ever doing rock paper scissors. It's impressive. I like it. I like it. We need more of this in Overwatch. And it honestly works best on Control because especially in the opening round like this, especially on downtown, where teams will often run different things, right? You know, you'll run the quad DPS, you'll run the triple DPS, as in the case for Choose Money Crew. But as our pause expires here, these teams will see what's going on. And Krondop immediately back to the run. It's goats v goats, but the little posturing beforehand is always so impressive.
A little mini game of chess, the game inside of the game. Miles, oh my goodness, he took a lot of damage, but is able to get turned around as JK Lola able to take down his counterpart, Cappy, who was doing so much work early. But this will force Young and Beautiful back. Their only source of damage has been Copy when it comes to this goats. And oh my goodness, this is disastrous. Krondop also falling. All of a sudden, Choose Money Crew with the point in hand will find a lot of free capture percentage.
Impressively, Cafe died like 15 seconds ago and has more ult charge than Mouse. Think about that. He dies first, and he has double the ultimate. Impressive. But Young and Beautiful, they will have to give some point percentage, and Choose Money Crew are now building up towards that ultimate. Slur does have the Transcendence very soon, and so walking this fight is going to be pretty close to see who gets that first explosion off.
Pulled into a corner is Young and Beautiful with their backs quite literally up against the wall, and now the Transcendence is used from Slur just to move forward and get aggressive for free. Krondop gets mini stunned. That'll be enough. The Graviton Surge will lock everybody in place for a small moment, but that's fine. Young and Beautiful, they should be able to clean this one up, but they have lost their Reinhardt, so you got to be a little bit careful. Don't want to get too over-aggressive and very wisely. So it looks like YAB, they'll try to recontest and move back in as SMC will be forced back.
SMC will be forced back here. This fight's going to keep going. Cafe trying to find that value on that Zarya is going to do so. Actually, pressures the corner. And remember, Slur is down, so they're waiting for him to recontest back in the team. But Ultimate's going to be committed. Keep going.
Barbie, that's a really good usage of the self-destruct. JK Low able to find a charge and a pin on the 2. Take that one and some more. SMC holding on to this point, now up to 70%, and now essentially Young and Beautiful, you have to have a perfect retake and a perfect game from here on out if you want to have a chance at downtown.
They do have that combo coming online soon. Cafe's at 73%, but knowing him, he basically has it already, and even as I said, that 5% more ult charge, they have the tools required to win it out. But Choose Money Crew gonna rely on JK Law's Earthshatter here to try and lock them out, prevent them from even contesting. Remember, 13% left on the point, and Choose Money Crew will tie this map up. Krondop gonna have to be the real aggressor here, preventing JK Law's Earthshatter.
Oh, Huni able to find one, the Earthshatter right into the shield of Krondop. So now all of a sudden, Young and Beautiful coming through. They have the sound barrier already utilized, and they're not gonna need to use anything else, really, as long as they can stay alive and make sure they clean up these supports in due time. They have not quite flipped the point yet, so good delay from SMC. But the bigger news is the fact that all it took was a sound barrier from Young Savage for Young and Beautiful to flip.
It's simple math, really. If you block a shatter, it's -1 ultimate. If you use a sound barrier, it's +1. So -1 + 1 ends up being 2 in your favor, and that means that Young and Beautiful effectively get the value of 2 ultimates and are able to take the point. And on top of that, because they didn't have to use that much, they now have the tools required to hold it on out from here. 99% though, so Choose Money Crew trying to find value to prevent that flip.
A very ambitious grab that hits, and right on the back end, Donnie able to find one more, and this is going to be pretty much a wipe for SMC. They did use the Transcendence, though, from Slur, so it comes at a cost. Young and the Beautiful still holding on to not only the rally, but now the Transcendence gets charged, and Krondop still has an Earthshatter.
One of the really interesting things about Cafe, and we're going to hear about him a lot here today, is that he is not afraid to use Graviton. He understood the timing of the Matrix there perfectly and uses it very clinically. Now Flippy trying to play for that Shatter. They scouted out. They want to see if they can get that Shield Bash off on the Reinhardt, try and get that free Shatter in for Krondop, but it's also good at scouting there as does a third person with the shield.
Another ambitious Graviton thrown out, this time from SMC, and it locks in absolutely nothing. So maybe a misplay here. Can Young and Beautiful punish once again? We talked about how they needed to play a perfect game so far. They are doing so in the back half of this downtown map set. Again, already 1-0 for Young and Beautiful if you're just joining us. Krondop looking to find a way to shake him off the high ground, but he's got to be a little bit careful. You can get moved around pretty consistently, and oh, that's a brilliant, just in-your-face charge. Polly will get taken down, and all it took, once again, was just Huni using his ultimate, and Coffee, well, of course, he uses Graviton Surge, but If you're familiar with the copy pasta, it's just copy has grab all the time.
Listen, he has a projected barrier, a self barrier, and a graviton as an ability, and so it makes sense to just use it whenever you get it. It's more than valuable. Shoes Money Crew though, they're not playing for the long game for some reason. They're committing ultimates when they're down, and now they're walking back into last fight with the shattered self-destruct, and they're going to make value out of this one.
Which Reinhardt could be successful. Oh my goodness, it was a huge shatter, but it was well sustained from SMC. The sound barrier was good and the Transcendence was used immediately after. JK Low will find a shatter in return. Heavy hits going back between these two heavyweights. Overtime, still in effect 99 to 99, but the eliminations turn up all in favor of SMC. I don't know if Coffee's got the heroics to hold on to this one with Young Savage. They'll try to touch. The point will be flipped. Will anyone be able to get back in time? They won't. We're going to a third set here in Busan.
Man, Slur has absolutely no fear whatsoever. He sees the Pilot Diva remeching. It's like, yeah, it's my kill. I'm going to go for it. But I think that's just a microcosm of this entire matchup for the remainder of the day. Both these teams, at times it looked like Young and Beautiful had the full advantage and we're going to take this map with no contest. Shoes Money Crew's like, yeah, nah, that's not happening. We're coming in guns blazing. Absolutely nothing on the table. And then the shatter is a 5-man shatter, man. It's a 5-man shatter, but they can't follow up because the self-destruct is there, obviously. And then JK Lol, something we've kind of ragged on him throughout trials so far is that his Reinhardt has been a little bit shaky at times. No sort of experience there. Like none of that is there. He comes back in with a clean shatter on Karandov, and Young and Beautiful have to take the loss on that particular stage. Now, we are headed to Sanctuary, and it is our favorite comp. Goats versus Goats. Both these teams are going to run at each other until one of them falls over.
Both Reinhardt's currently playing a little bit of Ring Around the Rosie when it comes to this Taiko drum. But whose pockets are full of posies? Left to be determined. Barbecue falling low. Will already be demacked. Oh goodness, this is essentially a 5-on-6 with Barbie being in that pilot form, trying to throw as much damage as possible to get that mech back, but it's taking quite some time, and with that advantage, Young and Beautiful just posture themselves on point and force SMC to commit if they even want to. And just the last second they will, but it comes at the cost of eliminations, and Young and Beautiful, they'll flip this one, and they will get themselves the first bit of control here on the Shrine.
I love how fearless both these teams are. Really, it's fun to watch teams go at each other, hammer and tongs, nothing left on the table. Because again, this is a team of the two best teams in trials so far going at each other. It's fun. Shoes Money Crew though. Now here's where it comes down to it. You're down, you lost the point, and you're slightly ahead in ult charge. You can still find value here if you can get this next fight going while you build up to that Transcendence, to that rally.
SMC, they'll try to force their scythe on the point, but Huni, goodness gracious. You talk about good Zenyatta's, he's obviously in the conversation as he finds an Order of Destruction to the face of the Reinhardt. Young and Beautiful with that advantage, they'll snowball this fight, and this is a lot of free percentage now coming out for YAB.
Oh no, the stagger on the poor Diva. Okay, not actually that long. Could have definitely been a little bit longer on Barbecue. Barbecue has not had a good round here on Sanctuary, has not been able to play the game really. Gets demech, does not get the full value out of the Matrix, and they have to reset. Cafe has that Graviton Surge, and they have the self-destruct from Danny, so they are going to try and set up that play here. As, again, Shoes Money Crew, they're playing with fire, 60% are remaining. They're going to have to try and take this fight very cleanly as they build up to their own tank ultimates here.
5 ultimates for each team. Graviton Surge to start things off for Young and Beautiful from Coffee. Can they follow up? Transcendence is good, but not good enough to keep Gustav alive, so no sound barrier for Shoes Money Crew. Do you still contest this? The answer is yes. Mouse throws out a Graviton Surge. Huni quick on the trigger for the Transcendence, and all of a sudden it comes out of the Earth Shatter. Not going to hit for Shoes Money Crew, so all of a sudden, YAB, they're going to be able to get aggressive, and they're going to find a full team wipe on the back end. Really good play, and here's the more important thing, LaFon. No sound barrier had to be used or an Earth Shatter for Young and Beautiful. They have a huge advantage going into this last fight.
They have a huge advantage, and it's on top of that, it's going to be even a struggle for Shoes Money Crew to even contest. 90% remaining. You see the flip now, the switch now, trying to get that hammer down. JK Law off the Reinhardt. They need to even just touch point here to continue the round.
Sound barrier used early for Shoes Money Crew, but it's not enough to keep JK Lowell alive, and of course, Coffee has another grab. How are you not surprised? And now as they're able to clean things up, it looks like this will be a very convincing third set of Busan, and the overtime will fade away. Young and Beautiful draws first blood, one map up against SMC.
This is the match we came for. It really, really is. Shoes Money Crew. This team is good. Krandop, though, has been an absolute monster on that front line. The Reinhardt he's been bullying JK Law out of position nearly all game. JK Law did have that one good play, of course, on the downtown with the Reinhardt. Yeah. But this has been, this game so far, as good as the main tanks have been, this story comes down to the fact that you've got two fantastic Zaryas and two fantastic Zenyatas, and both of these guys have just been like smashing each other. Every time Slur's ahead in Transcendence Charge, but then you see Huni come in, headshots after headshot, and then Cafe versus Maoz. These are two fantastic Zaryas, and they're just farming Graviton Surges non-stop. I think here, now you have to start to consider win conditions, right? Both these teams, what are your win conditions? And for Shu's Money Crew, you have to somehow isolate Cafe and force him to make mistakes, force him to not be able to grab nearly as easily, because here's the thing, there's only one grab he's had that hasn't had value, and it's the one at the very end of downtown where he was the only one left alive. Like, that's the fact that you have one ultimate only out of 3 rounds where he's been getting them every about 40 seconds or so. Like, you have to start pressuring him more and take advantage of where their weak link is. JK Law has, I wouldn't say he's necessarily weak, but he's definitely been on the weaker side in terms of where you can try and find value, and Krandop has not been pressured out whatsoever. You need to find some way of forcing Krandop to make mistakes so you can take advantage of that in its entirety. Shu's Money Crew, they have their work cut out for them, but it's not like they're without value, Shift, as that downtown was pretty impressive.
Yeah, so essentially what I'm hearing from you as we move into what will be our hybrid match style is that you're looking at 2 different battles within inside the battle. You're looking at that trench warfare as well as that sustained battle from afar with the Zenyatas, and I think that's probably a really key focus for all of you guys out there watching, as far as, you know, where do you find that efficacy when it comes not only to ultimates but also utilizing abilities. Those are kind of the little mini pictures that we've been seeing, at least in their history so far throughout this series of Contenders trials, but in this pivotal matchup, those little differences will definitely pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah, and heading into this next map, we actually see that particular analysis come into play immediately. We're going to Numbani as our map number 2. It is, of course, that hybrid type, and this is where you start to see those micro changes coming into play. Numbani, not exactly known for its lack of high ground on that first point. It's super high ground heavy, and we often see teams playing Winston as a result, less Reinhardt, and hey, guess what JK Law is better at? Winston. Well, turns out that that's a hero he's slightly more confident on, it looks like. And so this is a good read. You make it harder for, you know, Cafe to play the Zarya, the aggressive Zarya, because he's forced to play, you know, on the high ground side. It looks like he will still play the Zarya, but at least you make it a little bit more difficult. So understanding map geometry is very important. And now it's your turn to take advantage of it. You think you can do a little bit better here on this map than you did on Busan, and it comes down to, is your strategy on this map good enough to take away the value that Cafe brings on Zarya, the value that, you know, the rest of the roster brings on the heroes they play, only on the Zen, etc., and pressure them away from what they're strong at. And I think Shu's Money Crew, that's what they're gambling on right now, because as good as their downtown was, they got simply outplayed on Sanctuary. Like, it was not a very close round, and now you need to start taking them away from their comfort zone.
Indeed. And as we transition in, Young and Beautiful on defense, well, they'll come out with exactly what they had previously. SMC, looks like they're going to scout things out a little bit and consider if they want to go into battle with this. Slur currently on the Widow. Yeah, no way he stays, so we'll switch back over to the Zenyatta. Maoz as well, likely going to switch off the Sombra. We'll see what comes out, and it looks like it will actually be a Moira-style goats this time for SMC on the offense.
Interestingly, they're going with a Reinhardt as well, so they do feel that they can play that frontline v frontline style. No high ground. They're going to just walk at each other at this point and try and take away that high ground. Again, Young and Beautiful have the better setup because you're walking into a high ground contest, and that means that you have better sightlines. So the defense here definitely favored in that regard. And in this small choke area, Cafe can build charge, and he's not really a threat. Sorry, he can't really be threatened is what I mean to say, as trying to build up that energy to get early value. Great boot, though. Or no, it looks like Krandop just walked off the high ground.
Interesting positionally. SMC on the high ground looking to just look down at their opponents and funnel as much damage as possible, but it's being very well sustained for Young and Beautiful. But you take a look right there for the small second you saw Maoz, he's very full charge. Copy not even close, but he is higher on the ultimate as far as the percentage goes. As I say that, Maoz gets himself involved a little bit more on the damage side of things. Slur will throw up one barrage of destructive orbs immediately in the Transcendence, which counters out Krandop's Earth Shatter completely. You love to see it. Huni will fall, and essentially for SMC, this should result in 1 point. But Maoz, will he force the Graviton Surge here? I don't see it coming through, and that will be capture point A for SMC.
We are going to see that. Man, it's such a good read by Slur. This guy, we've been so high on him on Zen, and there's good reason. He's really good at the game. He builds Trance first fight, and then he uses it to play aggressively so they take full value. They won't have it for the grab, but it doesn't matter because they have first point, which is the hardest, arguably, to take before you hit third. Now they're going to commit to the Graviton Surges, and it goes countered with a Graviton.
But on the mean side, Young and Beautiful, they also have to use the sound barrier as well, but they use it a little bit later. So can they possibly use it as an offensive weapon? JK Lowell in a little bit of trouble, and you can see the panic kind of coming through, but Young Savage falling, and JK Lowell staying alive, able to just narrowly get around the corner, catch some passive healing from the payload as well from his support line. SMC will be the victors of this fight, but they don't find a lot of progress, at least not as of yet. But JK Lowell with the Earth Shadow looking for an opportunity, and he finds it from the side. The Transcendence from Huni is good, and it's good enough actually to sustain through it. So all of a sudden, Young and Beautiful, can you find some success to turn this one back around defensively? There's no tools yet, but Coffee, he's so close to grab. Krondop as well, close to the Earth Shatter. Will they pull the trigger on either? These Mouse has one as well, and it looks like at least the first Graviton will be used for Young and Beautiful, but doesn't find anything in the back end. Krondop actually falls, so all of a sudden SMC can snowball this fight. It looks like they'll hold on to whatever ultimates that they do have, and they'll just push this one for essentially free.
The biggest mistake the Shoes Money Crew made there is they had no one on payload. And that means that all that fighting means that they only get halfway through second, and they're actually going to be able to get a recontest here, are Young and Beautiful. That is, it's good they win the fight out staggered, but Shoes Money Crew gives away a lot of point pressure, and that's absolutely massive when you consider how much this has been fought for tooth and nail. Shoes Money Crew, they're going to have to use this Graviton Surge here now as the recontest happens for Young and Beautiful.
But look at this, Miles is in such a good spot. If you're Young and Beautiful, you're essentially forced to hold this in the choke point, unless you can shrug Miles off the high ground. He is discorded and taking a lot of damage, but he has some support. This time from another frontliner just off to his left. The grab comes through, but thought he eats it. Oh, that's catastrophic, and all of a sudden Shoes, they've used so much. The Earth Shatter came through as well, but the trigger just from Huni, the drop in one Transcendence will be the catalyst for success. Flippy falls, the Earth Shatter doesn't find as much in Coffee. He does find a Graviton. Is the damage here? The self-destruct right on top. Not, oh, and able to find all of the front line. SMC, their hopes and dreams will be dashed thanks to Donnie able to find himself one defense matrix eat, and as well as a self-destruct in the back end clutch plays from the D.Va player.
And they're going to stagger out Slur. Oh my goodness. Danny, the absolute hero of that fight. The Graviton Surge is... Mouse, though, you gotta... Come on, man. You know better than that. You can see how he's posturing the entire time, playing the high ground, trying to make it hard for Danny to eat the Graviton Surge, but just a momentary miscount, it looks like, and he gets the Graviton Surge eaten. Well played by Danny, indeed. As they now walk into this next fight, Mouse will have the Graviton Surge online again, but it's going to be up to Barbecue to stay in mech at very least. build self-destruct too.
Take a look at the aggression off that D-Mech from Young and Beautiful, just pushing forward, knowing they have an advantage, and they do find the pilot form, so now an actual 6v5, but Shoes Money Crew realizes their disadvantage and backs up and holds closer to spawn. But all of that time, very valuable for Young and Beautiful is, again, Coffee, so close to a grab. I'm not even going to say it anymore because it just should be assumed that every team fight that happens, Coffee's got a grab. Krondop, though, also almost has an Earth Shatter, so we're looking at nearly an even fight across the board as we reset.
It's a good rotation there from Shoes Money Crew, but Young and Beautiful read it perfectly. They get back in time to prevent from being cut off, and now it's just going to be a regular fight on cart. Shoes Money Crew looking to find that ingress, to find that first opening that they can use their ultimate to try and win the fight out shift, and there's the Graviton Surge.
What is their damage here? The Reinhardt got sucked in and is not able to get forward all the way through. So now all of a sudden, as rallies get traded, the self-destruct comes through. Earth Shatter finds nothing from Krondop, neither does the self-destruct though. So all these ultimates are being utilized with not much effect whatsoever. Up top comes one self-destruct from SMC, not going to find anything. We've got ourselves essentially a dry fight after all those ultimates are utilized. And so far that is tilting in favor of SMC. It looks like they'll be able to clean this one up as, again, you can see Miles full charge all the way through this fight, and his target prioritization with his team just superior. 45 seconds on the clock is when it will come through, so we're left with just over 2 minutes for this third stage.
2 minutes rather, coming into this last one. This is going to be really, really tough for Shoes Money Crew, though, because, again, you want to capture this third point, and it's so hard to complete. And on top of that, you want to complete with time remaining, over that minute mark, so that you don't get a recontest should the reverse happen. Now, Shoes Money Crew, though, they're working with basically Mouse's Graviton Surge here. They need to find this farmed up. This is the first time he's beating Cafe to a grab all match long, and there he commits it early.
Needs to be effective, though, and Krondop is doing a really good job of holding the shield, and Flippy will fall as he was pushed away from that grab a little bit later in its channel. Now it just comes down to, can they clean up everything else? Donnie immediately taken down, yet Krondop also will fall. But for Young and Beautiful, you didn't use anything there, so you have a chance to at least contest it one more time with ultimates in the bank.
Okay, Shoes Money Crew, your win condition is established. Earth Shatter, and you have the support ultimates to nullify whatever Young and Beautiful are coming online with. And this is going to have to be clinical. You cannot make mistakes here. Cafe, again, we say it frequently, but he's got the grab.
Oh no, and Krondop falls early in SMC. This is looking good for you. Huni will put himself in the Transcendence, but it's forced. The Graviton Surge comes through as well, but There's not enough damage here for Young and Beautiful to sustain through the front line as JK Lowell is able to find Huni and the payload for free, as well as able to find the Lucio on the left-hand side. It just comes like Krondop, who respawns away from his team. He'll be dropped away, and SMC, they'll push through this relatively easy on the back end of finding the Reinhardt first.
Shu's Money Crew, though, are less than a minute remaining on the clock when they did that capture, so 3 points completed. But it is now, of course, up to Young and Beautiful to turn this one back around, run it back, as it were. And here's the thing. Shu's Money Crew, their combinations have not been there. We have not seen a bigger bang combo from them. We haven't seen the Earthshatter find full value. Oftentimes what they're doing is they're using, one thing that you can kind of see from the counter to that, Young and Beautiful, is that Cafe will very frequently use a Graviton to prevent Mouse from getting value from his Graviton Surge, right? How can you get a bigger bang combo if the Diva's stuck inside the Graviton Surge? It's very simple. Like, absolutely. And it only works with a player like Cafe because he builds Graviton Surge so quickly. Because he's able to have it every fight, even using it defensively makes sense. For Shu's Money Crew, though, you have to work around that. You have to bring in an angle of attack for Barbecue. Barbecue just has to be a little bit better at realizing where these Zarya plays are coming from. And I honestly feel like he's struggled a bit here in this match because he's been demech'd very frequently. He hasn't had time to build the self-destruct to get the bigger bang combo very frequently. And all around, it's been a rough match for him. He hasn't really looked comfortable. And part of that comes down to the fact you're playing Zarya as good as Cafe is, but part of it is also just like, you know, you gotta buckle up and play under pressure. It comes down to that. And I think for Shu's Money Crew, if they want to bring it out on the series, bring it up and even it out, it's gonna have to come down to Barbecue playing a better Diva, in all honesty. A Diva we know he's capable of.
Absolutely. I mean, that's probably one of his perennial heroes as you take a look at what he has in, you know, as far as tools when it comes to his hero pool. How about this, though, for a little bit of a switch up defensively? SMC, Moz on the Mei. What do you think about it, LaFon?
Hey, if you can section off the main tank of Krandop from the team, you can find value. We've seen it before, how Mei can be so dastardly against those tanks. And here, Mouse trying to play some of that aggression. Shu's Money Crew, they're gonna run the Winston as well, so a little bit more mobility here from that particular roster. As Shu's Money Crew set up that high ground defense again, and there's that wall we were talking about.
Great separation, but up and over comes both Donnie and Young Savage, and they're able to turn this one on its head. Polly is the first one to fall. Maz in a little bit of trouble as well. He's got no frontliners in front of him. He'll be discorded, forced into the ice block as well as using the ice wall. No cooldowns remaining. Maz will be taken down very quickly, and Young and Beautiful. Goodness gracious, you throw an icicle at us, we'll just heat it up with some fire as they come through checkpoint A very quickly.
Here's the really discussion about goats. How do you play against goats if you're playing Winston? Well, the answer is not to run headfirst into the Reinhardt, because he'll just cleave through your team and no problem. You'll take advantage of the fact that you've got mobility. That's what the Winston is for, right? You try and jump in, section off the heels, prevent the team from really engaging. Unfortunately, Shu's Money Crew, they're just wait too long, and now this is the play that we needed from them from first. This play that they're doing right now, this is what they needed to do earlier on in this map.
Gas pedal, find Huni. Step ladder is being completed, and Young and Beautiful are forced to wait. And it looks like they're just going to have to soft reset. No more punish coming on the back end of SMC, but again, a lot of extra space and time gained as that first point was so quickly converted. The second stage going well for SMC. Slur, good timing on the Transcendence as everyone was getting low. He'll put him right back to full HP. Krondop, that Earthshatter was actually pretty cheeky, but I don't think he found the value that he really wanted to. He also gets ripped away from the charge. SMC still in this fight, able to find Reinhardt for Reinhardt. It just comes down to which support line can sustain their limited frontliners better, and Young and Beautiful actually able to push on back as Huni is getting himself involved in the damage category very nicely using destruction orbs, right foots, whatever he possibly can potentially find, and Young and Beautiful will turn that one right back aside and get this payload moving once again.
Petition to change Zen's melee kill feed icon into a foot, please.
I would love that.
That would be very, very nice. I think Huni would. He doesn't care about melees though. Guts for those headshots, kill after kill. Shu's Money Crew, they drop, and that's gonna be Young and Beautiful now. Except this time, Cafe gonna play again. He just used the Graviton and has it. He's gonna have it like in moments. He's equal to Mouse, who he already grabbed ahead of. Young and Beautiful now walking to this next fight. They're about even in terms of ult economy. Earthshatter committed, finds two.
It finds the front line as well, which is forcing Huni to go right into the Transcendence, and that's good enough to sustain them through whatever damage was coming through. Shu's Money Crew now forcing themselves into the Graviton as they will find themselves a way out as Slur is able to find the Transcendence timing, and that will be enough for them to go on forward with a speed boost, and they will clean up the tail end of that fight. But goodness, it was a good start defensively and really nice Earthshatter to start things off.
the one thing is here is that Young and Beautiful now, even though Shoes Money Crew had to use everything, they can actually lock out Young and Beautiful because Yab used both their support ultimate. Shoes Money Crew, they have to work against blocking Crandop's Earth Shatter, but they now set themselves up for success. JK Law so very close to that Shatter of his own, and as Mouse farms a little bit further ahead of Cafe, the Shatter is going to be committed.
Krondop tried to play off of Young Savage, who was looking for a boop on the Reinhardt, didn't fully get it. Brigitte will go off the map, actually, so Krondop will charge on forward, but he's very low and has a Discord orb on him. He will fall, but again, on the back end, you can see Coffee following up with the rally. He's got himself not quite full charge, but enough damage to chew through the last bit of those squishy targets, so SMC will falter, but they do have ultimates here. If they can get back in time, they might be able to contest.
I think they're likely going to give this second point up. They want to save it for that last point, which again, we know how difficult it is to contest on, or to retake if you're the offense. So Young and Beautiful now, they're going to try and work it out, but Shoes Money Crew, they have to keep the ultimates here for third so they can stagger out as long as possible. Yab don't really have anything to work with here. Shoes Money Crew, again, now playing against these choke lines, should be able to find a little bit more value with their tank line as JK Law looks for that Shatter.
Oh, and Krondop got separated. The Earth Shatter is big, able to come out for SMC. That'll be likely all they need to turn this defense right around and get themselves in top shape fashion. That will be it. Young and Beautiful will be forced back to spawn. One more shot, not quite there for Malas to finish off into Zenyatta, who will catch himself a bubble. And it will just be a soft reset and a re-engagement here from SMC.
Young and Beautiful are kind of frustrated because they didn't get as much value out of that fight as they wanted. They weren't able to build to nearly as many ultimates as they thought they could. But other than that, it's a good shatter from JK Law as the Graviton is going to be coming right away.
Self-destruct right behind as well, and oh my goodness, Krondop got boot back, and he finds himself 4. Oh my goodness, barbecue. The grill is on, the meat is getting cooked, and he's open for business with that grab. Remind me that self-destruct sequence as he's able to find 4, and SMC again, stalwart defense coming through.
It's tough to really see a Brigitte though when she's inside your team like that, especially in the Graviton Surge, and it's a great shield bash from Polly to bring the shield down for the self-destruct. Well done there. And now it's a high ground contest at the defense on third. You don't see this too often. Oh, Crandop got sectioned out yet again!
Oh no. As well as Young Savage getting taken down. And, oh my goodness, the support line falls away. Miles, full damage, charge on charge crime for the Reinhardts. Oh boy, this is looking so good for SMC, and that 4 minutes plus that we saw for Young and Beautiful has quickly dwindled to just above 2.5 minutes.
This is what we wanted to see from Shoes Money Crew though, right? This is the team that we know they can play as. Barbecue has been doing so much better here on the defense. He's finding so much more pressure on that Diva. Well done there. And they're going to keep going. They want to go in. JK Law has the Earth Shatter committed. It's good.
Shatter for Shatter, and Krondop actually doesn't fully, I don't think, gets his off as he gets taken down immediately, as I think he got Shatter just before he hit the hammer to the ground. So SMC again find themselves success, only having to utilize a couple of ultimates, the Sound Barrier, the Rally, as well as the Earth Shatter there. But Young and Beautiful, they also forfeited over their Sound Barrier. So a bunch of trades happening, but at the end of the day, SMC looking solid on defense here in the third stage. Oh,
what a great pick off there from Gustav. Cafe gets delayed even further, and now we're entering that moment where the time bank becomes such a problem. 1 minute 55 doesn't seem like it's too little, but keep in mind the cart has actually gone all the way back to the checkpoint here on the third point. So they have to be essentially, it's almost like they've just captured second with the amount of distance that they have to go through. And here now it's SMC playing the high ground yet again. Graviton Surge available for Maus yet again.
He's already getting himself very close to full charge. Toppy will open up with the Graviton Surge of his own. Huni also dropping away his Slurp, found a headshot. The bomb is good for Donnie, and that takes down JK Lowell. So now opportunity starting to brew for Young and Beautiful. But again, look at the time off the clock here. SMC can sit here for a little bit longer if they so choose to, but they'll back up. They don't want to let this one snowball. They wanted to soft the reset, find a re-engage, and keep this going for as long as possible.
The hardest choke on this map is upcoming, and Shoes Money Crew have the ultimates to defend it. And of course, it was a soft reset for them because they understood that with the time that they had burnt off the clock, they could leave and come back now. The card has barely moved at all.
Yeah, it's looking really good for SMC as long as they can convert. Miles, of course, has a grab, will catch himself an armor pack to get himself back to full HP. Now it just comes down to who will hit the trigger first. Krondop, can he make a play? Graviton Surges here, self-destruct up and above. Krondop looking for it, he'll be able to negate it, as well as Suni will say, I'll forfeit the Transcendence here, and the Shatter is good. The front line is down as the defense going to be able to come back through. There's an Earth Shatter of their own, able to find one, and Flippy falls. Toppy, he's got himself a Graviton Surge, soaks in 4, and now Krondop looks to slap on through, and he finds himself Gustav and Polly. So all of a sudden, numbers for Young and Beautiful, this payload will continue to move.
This is now going to be an interesting last fight territory, as Young Savage does have the sound barrier and Danny does have the self-destruct. So they have the tools to work with to try and clean it out. They're going to just use it to commit the self-destruct, I think, to remech there, as he had been very, very low. Krandov, Earthshatter committed, or Earthshatter available rather, and somehow Mouse gets to farm this Graviton Surge, as Gustav will have to use a sound barrier to nullify a lot of damage. No, they can't even touch!
Pushed away! Are you kidding me? The hammer did some work, but the sound wave came out as well. What timing was that? Young and Beautiful, able to push everybody away and convert at the very last second. You saw the Graviton Surge come in, but it was just a little bit too late, and now we're looking at a minute to 146. Still favoring that of SMC, but Young and Beautiful here will get a go on setting up their first offense, or their second offense.
Oh my goodness, this game, man. This game is so good. It's sometimes you just gotta take a moment to appreciate when you're seeing fun Overwatch, because Young and Beautiful, Shoes Money Crew, they're leaving it out there. I have to say, that last fight was likely going to be Young and Beautiful's anyway, but you hate to see it go in that particular fashion with unable to even really contest. On that point, though, good play by the combination of Young Savage and Krandov. How much frontline pressure they're taking, and of course the knockback, the boops, of course, from the Lucio and the Reinhardt Hammer combined. They just can't even touch point. Shoes Money Crew. Okay, defense again. Remember, it's a minute to minute 46, so not a lot of time. It's on this map especially. It's almost a fight, maybe two if you're lucky. So it's depends how cleanly you lose, if you so do so.
Lafon, I just got to get your hot take. We saw this attempt first for SMC. It didn't work out so well for them. Are you okay with them trying it again here defensively for the first point?
Clearly they've tried it before, so they're comfortable with it. You know what? Yes, I'm okay with it, because now you know what mistakes you made. You just don't make them again the second time. It's that simple.
Just play better, Forehead.
Yes, but unironically.
People, they'll try to set themselves up, as they will be moving down Main Street. Again, not a lot of time to play with. The wall will separate Krandov, but do they have enough time to actually make something happen here, as we do see the first eliminations being traded? The Mei is down, so that little bit of distraction no longer going to be there. Just comes down to who can follow up with the eliminations. Huni in a little bit of trouble will try to back himself out and reset himself. Donnie will be demacked. Elimination for elimination, but now as you see the Winston just kind of going from front line to back line, using that jump, he will actually be able to find the support line and keep everyone in the back as far as the Young and Beautiful pressure. So yeah, I mean, I guess just play better, and that's exactly what happened. SMC looking solid as they were able to distract the back line.
I love when it's as simple as that, right? Just play better. It's so easy. And hey, thank you, Shoes Money Crew, for showing that being the case. Now, here we are going to this fight. The problem is Mouse does not have any ult charge whatsoever. Cafe, 70% of the Gravitron. At least this fight staggers out. This favors Young and Beautiful, but great wall early on.
Young Savage, though, able to just barely get a roller skate onto that point, and it will send things in overtime. JK Low in the Primal Rage will try to force Coffee off the map. Will he quite get there?
He got him!
Because he knows what was going to happen, though. He throws out the grab just to lock in the Winston, but it's not going to make a difference. SMC has too much pressure on the point as well, and totally worth the play for JK Low. He actually comes back and finds Krandov as well, so it will be a full hold SMC with win condition in front of them.
You know, that's as good here's another easy way. If someone's really taking you to task and really outplaying you, just kill them. Just get rid of them. It's that simple. Yeah. So good job, JK Lol. You see it. We see you in action there. And I have to say, that composition they were running, when it actually got executed properly, we see why Mei is so strong. They section off the main tank. They're unable to get resources to him. The rally pack can't go through the wall, as we mentioned. And even though he does get around the wall in time, what is there but a Winston bubble? So now you can't even get the rally pack through that. You can't get the healing off. It's a good job by Shoes Money Crew to nullify Krandov's positioning, and they do a well-timed effort. And then, of course, when you go through the underpass like that, you're just begging to be walled off in a much even simpler fashion. So Miles is going to make that one every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Today is Thursday, though, so they'll only be able to do it once. Alrighty.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Win condition established.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to transition to is, you know, the SMC, they know what they have to do. Get one take, you're good. Maybe harder realized than just saying it, though, as, of course, Young and Beautiful have been everything. Good. Resiliency. Yeah, they've been really good defensively. So we'll see what happens as we dig on in. I mean, for YAB, as you would expect coming out of the gates, just straight up goats for them.
And this is what Shoes Money Crew ran the first time around, right? You scout out. If you don't like what you see, you go back to spawn and switch. You've got really mobile characters. Slur is playing the Widowmaker for some early damage. Will likely switch off. I don't think he's going to stick on the Widow. Yeah, they see it's goats. Surprise of no one. They're going to switch their composition up. JK Lol to the Reinhardt, so they're going to mirror it out as they did on first. on their first run around, and they're going to try and play this one out. Young and Beautiful now, they know they know what they have to do to win this one out. They can't be too aggressive. They have to play to their strengths around their main tank line. And Shoes Money Crew, they have to find a way to section them out.
Coffee again, just trying to bait in as much damage as possible while he has that barricade on him, that barrier on him. Now all of a sudden, aggression from SMC coming out of the gate. Jake Halo very, very low. They have to back up. You cannot lose your Reinhardt here. Instead, actually, they lose Mouse, so that's equally as devastating. And also, D-Mech is the diva. That'll be a stagger, and the longer the better. Can the pilot form get to the edge of the map, or... Oh, goodness, this is devastating right now. We're not seeing it on screen, but finally, Flippy does take care of Barbecue, but just 45 seconds left remaining.
Now this again, they did have a minute 46 left on the clock. Remember to their attack, so that's 2 runs added at best. And here's now their final run. Otherwise, we end in a draw. 36 seconds remaining. Shoes Money Crew are not close to their ultimates. Young and Beautiful, though, they're starting to build up. They have the Shadow. They're going to have the Graviton Surge. They're just going to run this one to point and try and make them brawl it out.
They get the position. Krondup has the Earth Shatter as we stay on board with him. Will he be able to find the trigger? And yes, he finds everything on the right-hand side. But is the damage there for Mouse? Hootie will say absolutely so. And with that comes the rest of the front line. You're talking about a draw, but in the end of the day, if this does end in a draw, that would be considered a win for Young and Beautiful, who will still retain that 1 map to nothing advantage. 5 seconds left. I don't think anyone's going to get there in time. It looks like this will, in fact, be a draw, unless the Wrecking Ball can get there. No, not quite. So we'll end in a draw, but again, you take a look at the map differential. If you're just joining us, you're not familiar with the EU Contenders Trials, it is just a round robin, so no playoffs here. And both of these teams undefeated at the moment. We will play all 4 maps regardless of the count, and that's, again, a big success for YAB. You put yourself in a position to stay undefeated against one of the best teams in the Contenders Trials, and that's a huge W in your column for you.
Yeah, I mean, Young and Beautiful have been really, really confident here today. I think this is a team that when we see them in previous weeks, there's always that yes, but. And can they perform against really strong teams, right? Because they haven't really been tested here so far until today. Because Shoes Money Crew, we talk about it, they're 3-0. They're one of the better teams in this round robin in this EU trials, in the EU Contenders Trial Season 1. So to see them have this much success against a team that we know is good is really impressive. And I think for Young and Beautiful, this is your marker. This is here's where we're making our stand. Here's how we say, yes, we're good enough for Contenders. We're making it in there. We're gonna be that team to beat. And I think so far they've put an exclamation point on that point where perhaps before was simply a question mark. I think for sure today, after today, you look and you're like, yeah, Young and Beautiful are absolutely the favorites in this particular time.
Seems to be so. And again, we will finish off that second map looking at a 1-0. We will be going to the Assault next. And again, we've seen a lot of goats on goats.